brings us to number 3. Utilize active listening skills. When listening to somebody, it is always critical, and this kind of just cosigns to number 2. It is always critical that you listen to understand and not to react. You don't listen to immediately rebuttal whatever they have to say. You listen to understand where they are coming from, and you respond in which they can find a way to understand you. It is very critical that when they express their confliction with whatever you had to say or with you individually, and is critical that if there is a way for you to understand, that you let them know that I see where you're coming from, but I think you got it wrong. I understand what you have personally experienced, but I just feel like that you're taking it the wrong way. I know where you're coming from, trust me. And I understand because I've seen it throughout high school. I'm going to use an example. These 3 girls that I have known personally, and they had this ideology that majority of black men were no good, majority of black men were trash, majority of black men do not love black women, and majority of black men only want other races of women and will most likely date outside of their race other than dating their own women. Now, the first thing that I had to let them know is that I understand where you're coming from, because they will say that, despite the statistics of black men most likely dating or marrying black women, because there's over an 85% rate of black men who marry black women, they will say that despite the statistics, despite the facts, that what I have personally experienced feels more relevant than whatever data or facts that you may have. And to this extent, you have to be in a place of understanding. To this extent, you have to be in a place of understanding in which you let her know, okay, I see where you're coming from. I understand where you're coming from, but you have to understand that what you have personally experienced does not lead to the extreme outcome, or nor is it the representation of how black men are. Just because the 10 men across the street or the 30 boys that you went to school with wanted Becky does not conclude that the majority of the millions up to billions of black men want a Becky. Or because you said it's the majority and not particularly all black men, that even at that, you can't say that the millions of black men want Becky over LaQuisha. It's just not the same outcome. And whatever rebuttal that they had, and they'll say, oh, you see it on social media, you see it on television, you see it on the media, and you have to, and they go so far to celebrities and to the artists. And I'd be like, well, what's projected, I understand that if you are looking at life through the projection of social media and the way that they socially engineer people, okay, from that state of in point of view, from that point of view, I see where you're coming from. But you have to understand that social media and the way that these media platforms work, they are working against you. You have to understand that they are working against you, in which they are literally programming you to hate your own men. And to even have this mentality will lead you to pushing the same agenda that they want all these particular black women to push. You see what I'm saying? So it's things like this in which you have to bring in a form of understanding. You have to bring in this way in which you can let them know where you're coming from. Don't lead down to this pathway of, oh, you just like them feminists on social media. They don't need all that, because as soon as you start calling her a feminist and you start doing the name calling, you're no better than her. You see what I'm saying? So no. There's a better way to communicate with her and have a better outcome. Okay? And it was because that I took the time out to listen to what they had to say and let them know that I understand where they're coming from, that they all 3 of them understood where I was coming from, and they was able to see the outcome in which I was talking about. Find a way to understand where they are coming from. Find a way to relate to that person. Don't go down the path of immediately critiquing that person, immediately judging that person, or putting that person down. You know, don't go down that pathway of immediately turning the situation left, because there won't be any type of resolution in the whole conversation, and it would have just been a waste of your time. So find a way for you to utilize your listening skills. Listen to your significant other. Listen to the particular female that might be in your comment section having a disagreement, and have a one-on-one with her. If she's mature enough to have that one-on-one, have a one-on-one with her. Even if it's with you and another brother, you and another black man, have a one-on-one with them. If they're not mature enough to have that one-on-one with you, and they want to immediately lead to ad hominems and divert from the issue, you leave the conversation alone. You know, okay, well, that's how you want to feel, and they still want to keep going. Okay, you have a good day.